but you know, we're just not in the business of buying property if it's strategic to us. We actually got a piece of property on Fairview as well as on Maxwell Boulevard that we're talking with grocery stores right now to be able to not move into, because you got to find a developer to build that. But I'll ask Walter to look at that 6.5 acres, because you're right. If you put something in that neck of the woods, the Prattville, Autauga County, they would come, because there's a ton of traffic that's coming. I've had no conversation with them about that. What we are trying to do, though, is to work a land swap that would get access, being able to turn left coming from Prattville on Highway 31. You cannot turn left. You got to go up to that shopping center and make a
turn around. Ooh.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm meeting with the DOT this afternoon, I think it is, to see how we might could affect that.
Thanks, BJ. Appreciate it.
Thanks for that information. We'll look at it.
Mayor, let's look at, you're about to run for re-election, or you're running for re-election. Election's going to be in August. Tell me what the city is going to look like 4 years from now when you finish, if you were to be elected for a second term. What do you think it will look like?
Well, I hope that we'll be well on our way for residential downtown. I hope that the bypass will
That's
be able
apartments
to,
in straight downtown and the lofts. And
yeah, right.
Like
and that we would be further along the way we are to getting a slip road or really a service road there on the southern bypass, because right now we've got a mess, frankly. That's all under control of DOT, and that's one of the other projects that a lot of the merchants out there don't like what's there. It doesn't work, so we're going to try to be able to do that. I just want Montgomery in its entirety to look better. I want people to feel better. I want our educational system to be such that we can continue to be successful in attracting jobs to Montgomery. You know, we haven't talked about that, but we were actually we were named by ADO as the #1 economic development city last year. We had the most jobs created. We had the highest part of capital announcements. A lot of those jobs that have been announced are now just being filled. We were talking to Bud in Ulsan. He's one of the 125 that are over there of the 1,000 that's been announced for HHI Hyundai Heavy. So we've got some opportunity to have full employment in Montgomery. You know, the governor will get paid when he gets to 5% full employment. We'd like to be able to, at least in Montgomery County, be able to accommodate him.
Where are we on unemployment right now?
Unfortunately, we just moved from 9.1 to 9.5%, and that's because a lot of the graduates have come into the marketplace. It's a weird way they count. If you're not looking for a job, you don't get counted. But if you have hope and things are going well in your community and you start looking for a job, then you're counted as unemployment. It was about 9.5% 2 years ago. It has gotten as low as 8.9. Something below 9 in today's environment is not bad. But
what do you attribute that? Do you attribute that to a poll that's nationally on our country, that we've got a base number? Do you attribute that to poor planning in Alabama's part? What do you attribute that to?
Well, you know, government is a big employer around here.
Huge employer.
We're starting to lay people off in government. You know, that's sort of unheard of. That's not. I mean, that's causing some issues. Obviously, this great recession has been there. We've not been able to create as many jobs as I would have liked to over the time. We create them, but we also lose them. So to get ahead of the curve, you need about 1,500 jobs created every year. While we announced that last year, they have not come into the marketplace. The 214 that we just announced, it'll be January, February, March next year. Before we get there, we're going to announce another 350 to 380 here in a couple of weeks. It will take 6 or 8 months for that to happen, and all while that's happening, other people are coming into the marketplace. Believe it or not, we're now the second largest city in the state of Alabama. Only 6,000 people behind Birmingham. Birmingham went from 242 down to about 212. We're bigger than Mobile, we're bigger than Huntsville, so now we're seeing people migrate to Montgomery looking for employment.
Well, and people don't understand that when you have a 9.5% unemployment, that's 9,500 folks. If you add 300 jobs, that doesn't subtract out of that 9,500. A lot of those people are move-ins. Now it may affect that by 100,
Right.
but I think a number I don't like is that we talk about the 9,500 that are unemployed, but we don't talk about increasing our employment roles, which Montgomery, when I go, I'm a big statistic person.
No.
We're increasing the number of people who are working, but we're not decreasing the number of people who are not working, finding jobs. But there's a systemic problem that happens with that.
Well,
I mean, the people of Hyundai, I wonder how many lived in Montgomery the previous 2 months before they started working at Hyundai.
That's a classic example. In 2004, when they opened, a couple of years before that, a lot of people drove an hour, hour and a half to get that job and to work. And they saw after a month that it was going to work. Then they go to day beds, and then they go to apartments. And now, they're moving into the home market. We need more of those. It's incredible to me, the stubbornness of this particular recession. We are out of the recession. I mean, everybody will tell you that, but we still have that unemployment. We still have housing that's out there. Until people get jobs and businesses create jobs, we're going to still languish where we are. But I think that I feel it in Montgomery. We're better off than Birmingham. We're better off than Mobile. We're not. We're probably on par with Huntsville. Huntsville's got their own problems along the way. But they've got a huge infrastructure in place that BRAC's going to help. That whole space program has really put them on the map. But we've got 4,000 high-tech jobs in Montgomery. We don't even talk about it, don't even count what the military is creating.
Gunner Design System, people don't even know about that.
Do not even have a clue what goes on out there. And we'll probably have an increase of 200 to 300 over the next 12 months just in terms of what happens in Gunter. We just had a very significant thing nobody knows about. Martha Roby knows about it because she played a big role in it. There were 2 PE program executive officers, one here and one in Wright-Patterson. They were trying to get it consolidated in Wright-Pat. We're going to get it consolidated here. That means more mission. Martha Roby on the Armed Services Committee did a great job in protecting and defending that. And so we're going to get more mission, and more mission means more jobs.
What do you think about the 3 congressional districts that Montgomery County is divided?
I could make an argument for 2 or 3. I'd prefer 2. Obviously, we got 3. But what was sacred to me was being able to have Gunner Maxwell in the 2nd Congressional District so you can match it up with what's in Enterprise so that we could have that seat on the Armed Services Committee. And just what I just talked about is a classic example of why I need to be at the table on Armed Services.
Well, Montgomery, it looks like we're moving in the right direction. People just do not realize. I'm a numbers person. I look at statistics, economic numbers. We are holding up very well in the world out there, and we're very fortunate. There's some places that are just not doing well at all. Mayor, I want to thank you for being here.
Dan.
Will you come back next month?
Absolutely. You know that I'll come back anytime you extend the invitation.
I appreciate it. Todd Strange, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor of Montgomery, appreciate your time today. Newstalk 107.9 FM. We'll get back on whatever issues you want to be on right after this.
Thanks, Dan. That's a good interview. I tell you what, I've had a number of people tell me